let's just jump right in. We're going to explore an idea today that might totally change the way you look at every spreadsheet, every chart, and every statistic you ever see again. And that is the quiet ethics of data.
Just think about that for a second. It's such a powerful statement, right? It suggests that data isn't just a boring collection of facts. No, it's telling a story, and sometimes it's revealing secrets about how it was even made in the first place.
So here's the crucial point, the main takeaway. We often think of data as this objective mirror of reality, but it's not. It's actually the residue of a bunch of human judgment calls. What someone, somewhere, decided was important enough to count, and just as importantly, what they decided to leave out.
Okay, let's dive into this first big idea, what I like to call the illusion of objectivity. This is all about the strange authority that numbers seem to have and why we really need to look a little closer.
What's so interesting here is this contrast. On the surface, what do we see? A solid, proven fact. A clean number feels real, It feels authoritative. But lurking just beneath that surface, completely hidden from view, is a whole world of choices. Judgments about what to ask, design choices about how to sort things, and all the quiet, often totally unconscious biases of the people who put the data together.
And this slide just illustrates what we're talking about perfectly. These are not abstract concepts. This stuff happens all the time. An income survey that just assumes one household? Well, it might completely miss complex family structures. A form with only 2 gender options literally erases other identities. And even something as tiny as how you round a number can subtly shift its entire meaning. Every single one of these is a human decision, not some natural fact of the universe.
But let's be really clear here. The point isn't to get all cynical and just throw out all the data. Not at all. The real goal is to strip the numbers of their mystique, to see them as tools we can use for inquiry, not as some kind of absolute proof. It's about developing a critical awareness of their limits.
And this leads us right into our next big idea, the ethics of omission. Because, sometimes what your data isn't telling you is the most important part of the story.
This is the million-dollar question, isn't it? Every single dataset leaves something out by design. We do it to protect privacy, to simplify things, to make the data manageable. But in that process of streamlining, whose experiences, what little nuances, what critical stories might we be accidentally erasing?
And this is the tightrope we all have to walk. There's this constant tension between collecting enough data to see the full picture and being careful not to harm or burden the real people behind those numbers. There's no perfect answer. There's no magic formula. The ethical failure isn't in making a choice, but in pretending a choice doesn't have to be made at all.
This brings us to the very structure, the architecture of data itself. See, bias isn't just something that creeps in when you're doing the analysis. Oh no, it's often built right into the system from the very, very beginning.
This is such a powerful way to put it. The moment we create a spreadsheet, we're performing this little act of translation. We're taking a complex, messy, wonderful human being and their experiences, and we're compressing them down into a single row. We're squeezing a rich reality into the neat, tidy shape of a cell.
And this gets right to the heart of it. The choice of what to measure isn't just a technical one. It's a decision about power. Whose worldview are we centering when we create these columns? Whose priorities are reflected in the variables we decide to track?
Think about a category like household type. What kind of realities does that miss? Multi-generational families? Non-traditional living arrangements? The categories we create are never innocent. They always carry these little assumptions about what's normal, what's typical, and what can just be ignored.
So, if every dataset has these built-in limits and biases, how in the world do we move forward? Well, it's by embracing the unknown and by acknowledging what exists beyond the neat little edges of our spreadsheets.
Here's a fantastic rule of thumb for you. If your data tells a perfectly clean, tidy story where everything just fits together, you should be suspicious. Reality is almost never that neat. And that tidiness, it's often a sign that your frame is way too narrow and you're missing a really crucial piece of the puzzle.
This chart just visualizes the whole concept perfectly. A tiny part of any dataset is the knowns, the stuff we set out to measure. A slightly larger part is the suspects, things we might have an inkling about. But the largest slice by far is the unimagined. These are the unknown unknowns, the questions we never even thought to ask, the variables we didn't realize mattered at all.
Okay, so we've diagnosed the problem. Now, how do we fix it? This isn't about finding some kind of perfect data. It's about developing a practice of working with conscious data.
And here are 5 concrete, actionable steps.
1. Build reflection in from the absolute start. Ask whose reality your design might be missing. 2. Document everything, your cleaning notes, your definitions. Transparency is key here. 3. Don't just discard the outliers, interrogate them. They might be telling you something incredibly important. 4. Pair your numbers with a narrative. Stories and qualitative data will reveal the gaps. And 5. Cultivate epistemic humility. Just get comfortable with the limits of what you know.
And this brings us right back to the beginning. Approaching data this way, as a confession, doesn't mean we become cynical or distrustful. It just means we approach it with curiosity instead of certainty. It means we learn to listen to it differently. So the final question is really for you. Whether it's in your work, your community, or just the information you see every single day, take a moment to ask yourself, what is this data confessing? What does it reveal about the priorities, the fears, and the blind spots of the people who made it? Ultimately, it really all comes down to this. Every act of counting is an act of choosing. It's a decision about which stories, which people, and which truths are important enough to be remembered, to become part of the official record. And that choice, well, that's one of the quietest but maybe one of the most powerful ethical acts we perform.